Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining another episode of Kahoot 101. So, this is an introduction to Kahoot. We're going to be experiencing a training through a live Kahoot, which is the session right now that you have joined. Again, if you haven't already joined in the Kahoot, please do so because that is the best way to get value out of this session that we're having today. You also learn how to navigate through the platform, how to create a Kahoot, and host it live as well as asynchronously. Kahoot is a game-based learning platform, and we have over 600,000 paid business subscribers, several more on the school side. But on the business side, over 600,000 paid business subscribers. 97% of the Fortune 500 uses Kahoot, and we've had 40 million non-unique participants in just the last 12 months. Keeping that in mind, do you currently have a Kahoot subscription? Now, I will be asking you a lot of questions throughout this training session. Part of it is so you can experience and all the different question types that we have. And the other part, of course, is to make sure that there is an active engagement and that you get to be a part of this conversation instead of this being a one-way training session. Okay, so 11% of the audience does not have a Kahoot subscription right now. 22% has a free account, but bulk of you have a paid account already. The reason why I asked this particular question is because a lot of the features that I showed today may only be available on our paid subscriptions. So if you do not have access to the features that I am showing, you can always contact our BD team at business@kahoot.com, and they will be able to help you get access to these features. So what we just experienced was a poll type question. Next up is a drop pin question. Find yourself on the world map. If you move the map or the image around, you can have the right spot of wherever you are in the world fall under the pin, which is at the center of the screen. Okay, so interestingly, majority of our participants are in the US, which makes a lot of sense. I see a couple of people close to where I am in Texas. But that was a drop-in question type for you. This can be used not just as an icebreaker, as I use right now. You could also use this to have other discussions. For example, if you wanted your audience to name a part of a machine, you could put the diagram up. If you wanted them to point out what part of the process something happens in, you can upload the flowchart. You could also use this to discuss priorities. For example, what are the top priorities? You put up a slide with a bunch of options and people put the pin of whatever they find to be the priority for that month or quarter. So a lot of different applications for this, but it's a really good question to get you started. And then this is also another one of our newer question types called scale. How confident are you in your ability to create and host Kahoots? Now, these labels that you see going from not confident to super confident, this was custom. I typed it in myself. The system will let you pick from a Likert scale of 1 to 5 or a custom scale of anywhere between 0 to 10. And you can have pre-existing labels such as agree, disagree, like, dislike, but then you can also have custom labels and put in whatever makes the most sense for you. I'm going to go ahead and show answers. So what the system is doing, it's calculating all the responses. So 11% of the audience said 3, 44% of the audience said 8, so like very close to being super confident. And the average score came out to be 6.8. We'll take a look at the very end of this training and see if the 6.8 is pushed a little bit closer to 10 after you've had this session. This right here is an open-ended question type for you. You have 250 characters to tell me what are you hoping to get out of this training today. This is partially a great way for me to learn what to put into these training sessions moving forward, and also a great way for you to experience how you can get a little bit more of a detailed response or input from your audience than just a poll or a predetermined a selection from a predetermined option list. I also see some responses in the chat on Kahoot. The best way to interact with this session would be to click on the game link that is available at the top of the chat. and then participate in the live Kahoot. So once you have the Kahoot pulled up on your browser or on your cell phone, you can either, again, click on the game link that's in the chat or go to kahoot.it on your browser and put in the game pin. The best way to interact with this would be through the Kahoot game itself. I'm going to go ahead and skip the rest of the timer. If you're typing, you can continue typing. I'm just going to go ahead and start looking at some of these answers. So our audience is looking for new tips, more ideas, learning how to host interactive trainings, learning how to create reports, how to use reports, and how to get some past errors modified out of existing Kahoots, understanding newer features, learning the capabilities of Kahoot as a team building tool, if I should sign up for a paid account or not, so getting that decision made here, how to use the games and activities in a live meeting with other co-hosts, building Kahoot presentations with content already owned and importing content. Oh, you're gonna enjoy. So all of these things we're gonna cover today, and particularly with this pre-existing content part, you're gonna enjoy today's session because we will have a lot more detail on that topic today. So with Kahoot, whenever you sign up for your subscription or a paid version, you have access to doing two main things. You're engaging your audience and you're sharing information with them. To engage your audience, you're able to use one of 13 different question types. The test knowledge question types have the concept of right or wrong answers, and the collect opinion question types are for collecting opinions. So there's no right or wrong, there are no points. The idea is to just get input from all the participants. Once you have decided how you want to engage your audience, are you wanting to test their knowledge or are you wanting to just get input from them? You can go ahead and build all your questions. Then, if you have pre-existing training material, you can just go ahead and import that from here. So you're inside your Kahoot creator, you click on Add Slide, and you can just import existing slides so that your PowerPoint, Canva, Google Slide, wherever you've built your presentation is imported into the Kahoot file. You can then move around the slides to have questions interspersed throughout your presentation. So you're not talking one way to the audience, but they're also able to have a conversation with you by giving you responses through all the questions that you've asked. You can also import Keynote or any other similar presentation tools, as long as those are saved as a PDF and then uploaded to your presentation. You're also able to build a presentation inside Kahoot. So the screen that you're seeing right now, the slide that I have, this was built inside Kahoot. I selected to add a slide, went in there and chose this big title layout, and then added the components. So if you're wanting to build it inside Kahoot, that is possible. If you've already built your presentation, that is also possible to import into Kahoot. Once you've created your Kahoot file, you can either host it live, which is what I'm doing today. This is a live engagement with real-time feedback and interaction. If I wasn't able to organize a big meeting with 15 people in there, I would also be able to create an asynchronous version of the same Kahoot file. So it's called an assignment, and it gives me a link or a QR code that I can go ahead and email or put on MS Teams or Slack, however I want to communicate with my team. And then whenever the participants have time, they can click on the link and go ahead and complete that Kahoot. They don't have to be present in the same meeting. They don't have to do it at the same time. So Kahoot can be used synchronously as well as asynchronously for offline communications. You're also able to thread multiple Kahoots, videos, documents, and stories, which is an article type learning format, all together inside courses for multi-step learning journeys. Once you've built a course or that multi-step learning journey or path, you're able to then send that out to your audience or learners, and you can even select for that course to offer a certificate through Kahoot, either for participation or for passing based on a score that you determine as the passing score. Now, this is one of our newer features that I'm very, very excited about showing to you. Whenever you're inside your Kahoot creator and you're wanting to create more questions, you don't always have to come up with questions yourself. Kahoot now has AI-powered tools that allow you to generate content very easily just based off of either prompts, so you can type in the topic, or by uploading documents. So in this case, I'm using the prompt-based generator. I'm inside my Kahoot creator. I click on add question, and then I hop over to generate, and I start giving it a prompt. It reads through Microsoft Azure OpenAI database and creates questions. These questions come complete with right and wrong answer options, and you can add the questions that you like. Once the question is added, you see that it has a full background. You can also use the background as a media or image in the center. It already has a bunch of options, and the system knows what the right answer is. The points and timing, everything is already selected, but still editable, so you can make changes if you want. You'll also notice that these are not the typical Kahoot colors on your screen. So typically, the Kahoot answer options look like this, the red, blue, yellow, and green. So what we've offered now is the ability to customize what your Kahoot experience looks like. You can add a custom background, change the colors of those answer options, as well as the buttons and the scoreboard, as well as the leaderboard. So a lot of customization available for all businesses that are concerned about sticking to their branding. What we just looked at again was the ability to add questions through a prompt-based question generator. But all of us spend so much time making presentations and trainings. I feel like I shouldn't have to come up with all the questions after I came up with all the content. So what Kahoot can do for you is you go back to that question generator and you select the document option. You can upload a file with a maximum file size of 60 megabits or 100 slides, pages. And then you can tell the system which pages you want it to read. Once it's done reading your document, it's going to go ahead and create questions based off of your document. So you create the training content, Kahoot gives you all the quiz questions. Again, once you add the question, it comes complete with answer options, and it has already a background and media in there. So you're essentially saving a lot of time on creating content. At this point, I'm going to hop into my Kahoot platforms. This is the backend of my Kahoot account. And whenever I log in, I'm able to see all the workspaces that I'm a part of. So if I have a paid individual account, this is all I will see, the private space. But if I have a team account, then I will see my team spaces. I'm a part of multiple subscriptions, so I see a lot of those. Typically, you'd see just the one that you're paying for. The homepage is somewhere that I will see the activity from all of the other teammates and any of the Kahoots that are assigned to me, because I can also be a learner as well as somebody who creates and hosts Kahoot. If I'm looking for inspiration or if I want some ready-made, ready-to-play Kahoots, I can go ahead and search for interesting topics in the Discover tab or just look through our premium collection. And there is a ton of content that you can just go in and start using. We also have a premium content library called Access Pass. The difference between the Discover tab and Access Pass is that Discover is completely free. A lot of the content there is from our partners, but the bulk is from other Kahoot users like you and I who made something and thought it was worth sharing with the rest of the world, and they made it public. Access Pass is also user-generated content, but the users have been vetted. They have a verified profile. We look at the quality of their content. Kahoot Studio reviews all the materials that have been put up here. So it is better quality content, or at least content that has been reviewed for accuracy when it was published. It's a pretty inexpensive subscription at just $4 a month, and you can go ahead and access thousands of pre-made content files that you can then reuse as you need. You'll also be able to make changes if you wish or create copies. Hopping over to the library, this is where my content lives. So anything that I have created or my team has created lives in my folder or our shared team folder. Everyone in the account has access to the team folder. I can go ahead and organize this however needed and then make sure that the content lives in the right space. If I needed someone to be a part of my account but not have access to my team folder or all my content, I could add them in as a limited member, in which case I would create groups to give them access to the content that they should have access to. Whenever a Kahoot is hosted, the first decision you make is, are you going to host it live or are you going to host it assigned? So for today's session that we have running in the other window, I'm hosting the session live. And whenever I went into the hosting options, I selected the classic mode. But there are also several other ways of playing Kahoot that are listed here at the bottom. And you should have access to these on all the subscription types as they're available for free trial on even the unpaid subscriptions at this time. You can use Kahoot in the team mode, which means that instead of individual names, your scoreboard will then have team names. And then every team can have multiple participants. You can have up to 100 teams as needed, and teams can compete against each other. You can also choose to play the same Kahoot file in a completely different version. This, for example, is called Color Kingdom. This will strip away all of the slides and keep just the questions. Those questions will be repeated for all the players for the selected duration of time. Currently, it's suggesting 2 minutes because this has very few questions in the file that I've selected. Then you can go ahead and hit start. The audience will be split into two different kingdoms, red and blue, and the kingdoms are trying to take over the game board or the battlefield to expand their empire. Every time you answer questions correctly, you will be able to earn tiles that you can then go and plant on the game board. You want to have as many tiles as possible, which means that as a learner, you're wanting to answer questions correctly and quickly. And if you do not answer a question correctly, the system will tell you what the right answer is, so that when the question comes up on the screen again, you're able to get it right and earn that flag or land tile. You walk away from this not only having had a lot of fun, but also you get to have a memorization practice, rapid recall practice, and this is a great activity for reviews at the start or end of the day, or even in the middle of the day to have a good break and make sure that everything that has been shared was actually learned by the audience. Moving back to the library, the other option I have here is for hosting something assigned. In the assigned version, you can choose how long the material will stay available. So what's the deadline? And then you can choose to have it timed, gather the player identifier, which is email, the way you had to add today when you were joining the Kahoot. So I know exactly which player was who, and then also you're able to turn on personalized learning, which if you're using the Kahoot app on your cell phone, the app reminds you of the questions that you got wrong so that it can get you to practice before you walk away from it. If you create a Kahoot assignment, it then looks like an empty report, which you can send out to people either by emailing pre-built groups in the system, email lists, or put in emails individually. You can select URL or QR code options to share that information. So you're essentially just inviting people to play this Kahoot. I'm going to go ahead and invite myself through email so that you can see what it looks like when a participant is invited. So this is the standard text. You can customize this. And then once I've been added, you'll be able to see me or any of your learners listed on the reports page as, okay, what is their status? This person is not signed up yet. And I can remind them to start doing this training. If they started it but didn't finish, it'll say didn't finish. There's good opportunity for me to remind people individually or remind everybody with this button up here. As people continue to go through the Kahoot and complete it, we're able to see this report being populated in real time. So if I were to go over to the reports tab right now and go to the live mode Kahoots, I can see all of the Kahoots that I have hosted in the live game mode in this account. So that includes 152 live classic mode. These are the other interesting fun game modes that I had mentioned previously. And then all of these different distributions. These are Kahoots with the player identifier turned on and This is the assignment that I just created. So with the Kahoot session that we're in right now, as soon as the session ends, I will be able to go ahead and take a look at the report. Um, I'm now gonna go ahead and hop back to our live Kahoot game. I really like doing this because it shows that you can walk away from the game. So if you have a Kahoot running, you're still able to have access to the rest of your computer. You're able to take players through another window on your screen, another platform that is part of the training. So you can leave the game where it is and then move over to other things or have a discussion and then come back. If you have a question on the screen after wherever you left it, then you want to make sure to give your audience a heads up, because if you look at your devices right now, wherever you're logged into your Kahoot game, some of you might need to reconnect or refresh. So wake up your devices. I'm going to go ahead and go next. The next question is a puzzle type question. This is great for processes. So this is asking you, how can you use Kahoot's AI tools to convert your PDF into a Kahoot? These are the different steps in the process page. So for example, the first step is going to be to open the Kahoot create page. So you can drag this to the top and then put in the rest of those styles in the right order to make sure that your process or your step-by-step looks correct. You can have 3 or 4 steps in this process type question. Again, it's called puzzle, and you're able to use this for priorities, for processes, flowcharts. Okay, so there was a lot of text on the tiles. So one person got it right, 5 got it wrong, but that's just a good feedback for me to have lesser text and make it easier. But the right process is to open a Kahoot create page, select the question generator for the PDF to Kahoot feature, upload your file, and select from a list of questions that AI presents to you. Because that was a question with points associated, we now see that Emily is at the top of the scoreboard. This is a slider type question, and it's asking you how many question types does it offer. Again, a great way to experience all the different question types that we have available in our Kahoot account. This is very much like a game show. You get this experience with the slider running around as you're thinking what the answer is. And the same thing happens when you submit your answers. It has a really nice animation that fakes you out a little bit on what the answer is and then shows you the correct response. So whenever you have this question on your cell phone, what you want to do is touch the actual sliders and then move it around. And the correct response is 13. Last up, we have a scale type question. And now in the beginning, when I asked how confident you are in creating and hosting Kahoots, the average answer was 6.8. Let's see what it is now. Awesome. So we had about a few points increase in the confidence of the audience. We don't have anybody in the 3s anymore. We have a lot more people on the 7, so the confidence level has gone up. That is great to see. It's also something that you can use in your trainings in a pre and post survey. To wrap things up, what is one key takeaway from today's session? Anything that you found interesting or something that you learned that you didn't know before? Would love to hear what stood out for you. So if you're typing a response, you can continue typing and we'll take a look at the other question responses so far. So most of the people found AI to be an interesting new tool. That is what stood out for them. And then the fact that training PDFs can be uploaded and questions can be generated from the AI process. Oh, I love this. I'm late, but I like Kahoot for I like Kahoot a lot for my presentations. That is great to hear. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining. Happy Kahooting. Enjoy the new features that you have in your platform. And again, if you don't have access to some of these features, you should be able to connect with our BD team at business@kahoot.com, get access to these newer paid subscription types and all of the new fun features that we have, such as AI and new question types available in the subscription. We have a YouTube channel where our video for today's session will be posted by next week. So if you missed the session or if you'd like to share it with others in your team, you can go ahead and um, look at our YouTube channel next week for the recording here. We also host a Kahoot at Work deep dive. This is a more detailed or in-depth use case based webinar that happens every second Wednesday of the month. And we talk about using Kahoot for a particular reason or purpose, and then share tips on how to make it successful for that purpose. For example, the last one we hosted was on team huddles and engagement. So do check out our links that Andy has placed in chat. You can go ahead and open these links right now so that you're able to save them afterwards from your browser. These are registration for our um, Kahoot deep dive webinars, as well as a meeting link for Galilea, who is our senior account manager. And again, someone who would be able to help you get access to any features that you noticed today, liked, but didn't have access to already. Once again, thank you so much for joining and spending this time with us. The recording will be available next week on our YouTube channel, and I would love to see you all in the next webinar that we do. Have a great week. Bye.